So first of all, because well, there might be people watching or listening to this who don't know who you are. So first of all, well, thank you for joining in for that experiment José and me are doing within Strapazin, a cross-medial issue that celebrates publishing for the number 150 of this magazine. And first of all, I want all of you to present yourself quickly. I will start to get an idea of how quick I mean. So my name is Marti. I'm co-editor of Edizione Moderna and Strapazin, a publishing house and a magazine based in Switzerland.
I'm Séverine. I'm from France for Lagon Revue, and we run this magazine, which is more like a book, but since maybe 8 years around. And the new one is just out, so we are really occupied, busy with this, but we are happy to have time with you to meet you.
I'm Sammy, Stein. I work in Lagon too, and that's all. I'm also artist, and Séverine also, and also a printer. That's it.
Go on.
You're living in Paris?
Yes. Can you recognize the gray sky?
I'm here.
Maybe Jean-Philippe can continue since you are a team.
Yes, yeah, and sorry, I didn't know if it's a problem if we are three, because you are only one, the others. But okay, no, I won't take a long time. I'm just the graphic designer of the Lagon, and we work together. Yes, and I'm also in Paris.
So I guess I should introduce myself because I didn't do that before. I'm José Sainz. I'm a comics freelance comic editor based in Argentina, and I'm co-editing this Strapazin issue along with Julia. I think that's it.
I'm David Basler. I'm living here in Zurich. I'm retired now, but I'm still working for Strapazin because Strapazin is a cooperative. There are a lot of people editing Strapazin, and I'm a co-founder of Strapazin also.
Well, hi, I'm Alejandro Bidegaray. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I have this bookstore since 11 years now. It's called Musaraña. The publishing house is like a consequence of the bookstore we've been publishing for 10 years now.
I would ask now, well, somebody of Lagon to maybe quickly, it doesn't all have to be quick, but not like for 15 minutes, but present what you are actually doing. What is Lagon? How are you organized? What do you publish?
We just have a new one, which is an anthology of comics. With around 30 artists from everywhere in the world. Most of them are from France, but not only. And we yes.
We publish since 8 years, as Séverine says. In the beginning, we decided to publish to print and publish each issue by ourselves, printed in Riso and silkscreen. And after we put some offset printing into the process. And finally, now we stop réseau and put just off print and offset. Offset and C-screen, but with special colors, and we think each issue is really different with different artists, a new name, and special ink, and we try to publish comics like new, I don't know what to say. Maybe Jean-Philippe
yes.
can finish this introduction.
Maybe we are trying to publish new forms of comics. Sometimes can be called experimental, but that's maybe sometimes. But we are also interested by more classic narrations, but with sometimes new forms. We are excited by people who experiment with the medium, and we also try to mix. Classical structure of comics with more with only images, or we invite also artists who don't make comics to make comics, and we like designers or artists, and we try to test things and explore what can be comics.
Many thanks. Now, I would like to jump to Ale, because you've talked quite a lot about the printing and designing aspects of your publishing work now, well, the Lagon team. And Ale, in the comics Julia Barata has done about your work on page 2, I'm sorry, it isn't introduced yet, but you have seen it, at least the others. You are talking about the printing methods. And in a completely other way, you're talking about digital printing. So maybe for the others, I've sent the comics before, but quite short notice, and they haven't been introduced yet. Can you quickly resume why digital printing was important for you, or for Musaraña,
Yes, of course. Well, I started publishing books. I'm a self-taught editor and publisher, and I started as I thought it was meant to be the thing, doing offset books with large 1,000 or 2,000 units. I'm sorry, my English is a little, I haven't used it in a while.
It's okay.
Print run, creo que es tirada, ¿no? Print run.
Yeah, well, okay, 1,000 print run or whatever, and it wasn't really a good business for me. So I discovered when this new digital offset arriving in Argentina, with new machines, and you could do 200, 100, 300 runs. That really changed the way I thought the publishing, because I could go and experiment and do little scenes of very big and very new artists, and it was like a way of discovering a new freedom for publishing, and it was a big growth for me to experiment being an editor and publishing. It wasn't these big amounts and big money things to try that, but I could experiment a lot, and I did a lot of little 100, 200 to reprint when it was over, and yeah, it was a way for me to learn, and be more osado, Jose, more.
Bold, I think, is the word Ale is missing. Because as far as I get it, with digital printing, you don't need to spend that much money, because you don't have to go for really big print runs, which is important in Argentina, because it's well, as everybody else knows, it's kind of hard to make money from comics. So you need to take it slow, just in case. And digital printing helped Ale and many others down here, and I guess in many other places also, to be able to experiment. Any other way would have been impossible to publish more than, I don't know, just a couple of books over the years.
That's right. That's right. And I could go and look for artists from other sides of the world and talk to them, and let's make 200 of your work here. And well, it was a way of growing, you know, and learning and experimenting.
Just a quick intermediate question: what is the print run of the Lagon issues called?
You mean the number of
Yes, each
copies? Okay, it's changed as the name, as the size. we like to change it to make a new project, and this time is 1,050, 500. 1,500, yes.
Okay. Just to get a rough idea which amount we're talking about.
And for it's important to say, and I would like to ask a question to our friend from Argentina, but it's important to say that we sell a lot outside of France because it seems there is a lot of people interested in America and in Asia, but I would like to ask to José, that's it?
Yes.
Yes. For example, do you try to sell your books outside of Argentina, or you try to keep it more national, or how is your plan to make it to make the diffusion to distribution, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're like, since all of us are small outfits, maybe we can say that's an accurate expression. We try, I mean, most of the time we keep it national because any other way is really hard, you know, when it comes to shipping costs. Sometimes it's really expensive, even though it's like the readers, the ones who are paying for that, but sometimes it's really expensive because in America, you know, distances are different. Here, distances are bigger, so shipping costs are more expensive. We try to keep it national, but some of us, I mean, some of the national publishing houses, of course, we send books abroad, but not like in a serious distribution way, you know what I mean? Only to really interested readers outside our countries. But I don't think, I'm just thinking out loud, Ale might be helpful with this. I'm not sure there's an Argentina-based publishing house related to comics who is distributing abroad in a serious way. Maybe only Chile and Uruguay, which are just
neighbors
next to us. Yes, yes, they are neighbors. So I think that's basically it. But I don't think there's a serious distribution network over America for any of us. Don't you think, Ale? I think it's just Chile and Uruguay.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. The shipping costs are really expensive here. We don't have a courier system easy and cheap, and so it's almost impossible.
Yes, that's why I ask this question, because for us the problem of the post is maybe the first we ask when we begin a new book. It's an important question, and that can have a consequence on the shape of the book, on the weight of the books, and that's why this time we send the book open, because in France the post asks you to ask you to have less than 3 centimeters if you want to your book to be sent. Yes, that's why I think the problem of the sending is the first problem we are asking when we begin, and I was wondering how you make, if the post is not it's expensive, or maybe it's difficult to send aboard. I was wondering if you try to make it more national, the distribution, because of the problem of the post, and I think if the French post was too expensive or too difficult with us for the books, I think we would make something really different. I think the book would be different, and that's why I ask this question. Yeah.
Well, many thanks, Séverine. This is very interesting, because I feel the products I've seen by you three now are quite well express a lot of artistic freedom, and now you bring in the completely pragmatic aspect of distribution. Yes. But I would like to also ask a question to David, who represents Strapazin here, but is also one of the founders of Edition Moderne, because I think that this is a huge difference, this language area thing, between, for instance, Argentina, which is a huge country speaking Spanish, and Switzerland, Germany. And Strapazin has quite a story between Switzerland and Germany. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, David, and then I have another question afterwards.
Yes, for Strapazin and book publishing, it's basically the language. If you don't, the only international language is English. If you want to distribute your books or your magazine over the world, you have to write it in English, basically. And this is the first limit, the language. So the border doesn't matter. It's the culture area of the German language. It's including Germany, the Switzerland, part of Switzerland, part of Austria. So Strapazin is mostly distributed in these countries. But we have also the same problem from the mailing, the shipping costs is for all printing matters a very big problem. And if we have also subscriber over in the US, and this is it's not worse. I mean, you send it because we do it for the people who are there, but you never got your cost. You never can charge the cost of shipping to a subscriber in China or Japan or wherever, even in Argentina. It's impossible. So I think it's very, for printing matters, it's very difficult to get distribution all over the world. And I don't know. I want to ask Lagon if they charge the people who order a book or a review, if they charge them specially. I mean, it's cheaper to send maybe in Europe, but if you send it over the ocean to US, you charge them, or what you do? I mean, in the US, it's USA is the center of the world, and they have, for example, this distribution called Diamond, and they distribute comics all over the world. And but I think that is the only way to get distributing all over the world about Diamond, and they charge a lot. That's clear. Yes.
we were this week, we were really working really hard on package the books and send the books. And I can say that we lose money when we send to the shops because it's big package and it's really heavy and we cannot charge all the fee that it costs. But in the same time, we have a special program in France called Livre et Brochure, which is really important when you are a publisher in France. And it's a program that appears in the 80s. And when you make a book in French book, you can send it really cheap outside of France because it can
It's a French culture.
Spread French culture.
Yes, yes,
The world.
all over the world. The French culture can be everywhere.
Colonizing.
Yes, but so the cost is really cheap, and that's why we.
May I ask, just to clarify that I understood it right? So, what you produce is considered culture. Well, I agree.
Yes, of course.
And because it's considered culture, you can distribute it cheaper. Is that right?
No, it's not exactly that. It's for books. So all kind of books can be in French, can be sent really cheap outside of France. So we can send in US or last Lagon that cost maybe around €5, and which is normally should cost €20, around €20. So we can have this balance, you know. We lost in the on a way, and we can have a bit more money with on the other way, and it's a balance that is not really flat, but it's since we have this Livre et Brochure in France, we are able to send all over the world. But if one day they decide to stop it, we have to think about this. It will be hard to continue to send everywhere.
And also, just to say, it's the thing is we distribute everything by ourselves.
Yes. We don't have a distributor for books, so we, as we have this launching on the internet for the books, we have to make the package, and it takes 1 or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes, more.
2 weeks, plein temps, comment on dirait?
Full time. Yes. To make the packages, to make the big box for the shops, all around 30 shops all over the world, and it's a lot of work, but it's not possible to do in another way, because if we have a distributor, we won't be able to make this book. We can't sell it €40. You know, we will have to sell it maybe €60, and we don't want to be a collector.
More like 100 euro.
Yeah, maybe 100. Yes. So we want to keep it cheap, even if it costs a lot. But yeah, so we make the most all the work. We make it. We just have the offset make outside from our studio, but the rest we do it by ourselves.
Jean-Philippe, maybe you can talk a bit about the distribution of Strapazin.
Yes, we do it all also by ourselves, but we don't have 2 weeks. We have only half a day. Okay, it's not. It's only an envelope. It's the Strapazin is like this size. Sometimes it has more pages, but it still is always the same size. So we do it. It's very funny and good time. We are all sitting around a big table, and we are 5, 6 people, and putting the magazine in the envelope, and then for the subscribers mostly, and there are some parcel to do after also, but we can make it in half a day. And this is for Switzerland, and we have a small office in Germany too, and they do it also the same for Germany. So it's very easy, or maybe we have some routine because we're doing that for 30 years. But this is more fun. This is more fun, and to do it, and for the city of Zurich, to the shops, I do it with the bicycle. I got the magazines with the bicycle, and this is also nice to meet the people and talk a little with them. I enjoy it. The direct contact to the shop owners or the people who are working the shops, and this is very funny, or I like it very much.
I would like to talk a bit more about experiment. Now I've talked a bit distribution, because Ole, before you said that, well, the technique of digital printing somehow allowed you in the beginnings, especially to try out things, experiment, explore things. And David, for me, Strapazin always has been a platform where things have been experimented in terms of comics, but also in terms of graphic design. How do you see that? And can you comment on that? Do you agree? Or
Yes, I agree. We are not going so far like Lagon. It's always the same name, and the size is also the same. But number of pages can change, and this is for distribution. It's also a problem. If it's more weight, you pay more. But anyway, Strapazin is different because we don't have a chief editor. Every issue is somebody else who is editing this issue. For example, the next issue is Julia and José. And the one I showed before, it's about shipping, and this is one of the publisher of Strapazin who is editing this issue, and we meet always in November each time the year. We are about I think we are over 20 publishers, and then we met one time in the year. And at this time, the people are proposing themes for a next issue, and then we say who will do which issue. Strapazin is publishing 4 times each year, and this is very regularly. It's coming out all 3 months. I think this is very important, that Strapazin is still existing, that it's that is coming out always on the same dates.
And maybe Jean-Philippe, in the comic contribution that Lagon has sent it in, done by Luca Butzbach for this issue, the collective work David just talked about, it seems quite important as well. Well, there is a character, I guess it's Séverine, I don't know, which also says to another group of people, oh, you're hiding in there, or am I actually the only one working? So, well, it feels like you are quite a group as well. So I would like to hear a bit about how you're actually organized. Or not. I mean, I'm not judging.
No, we started at first. It started with the meeting of Sammy and Séverine with Alexis Beauclerc, which is also a comic artist, and they meet together with Bettina, is the girlfriend of Alexis, and they just make the project of making a new review together. And because they have this Rizzo machine and Séverine is a silkscreen printer, so they just have the opportunity to make a book really quickly. Like in 6 months, we will make we have to move from another place and we can make a book together. And then they asked me at the last moment, oh, Jean-Philippe, can you make the summary? We didn't talk about the graphic design. Maybe you can just make a flyer for the book. And so that's how I started to work with them. And now I'm part of the team, and we discussed together from the beginning of each new issue. We discussed together all the three. And now we are only 3, but we discuss almost every day about how we can make a new book, and each people has his each of us has his function. Like now, Sammy and Séverine are working on the distribution, but I work on the communication and. But we discuss we don't have like a shift or try to be like horizontal.
And well, the editing team has changed, or it changes each issue, because Alexis Beauclerc also was involved in some issues. So you're rotating, or?
No, not exactly. Since the beginning, we with Alexis we choose the artist that we publish, and last year Alexis quit Lagon to make other stuff, and then since this year I propose the summary, but we discussed with Jean-Philippe and Séverine. That's it.
I'm more into the thinking the book. I was in the comics that Luca drew, it's not really like this, but the truth. But I arrive at the beginning of the last issue saying, I have an idea. We could send the book open, so it will have consequence on the what page will be in the center. It could be a silk screen. So I try to think the book. I think of the book every day, and one day I arrive with an idea, and if it's the moment we want to have a new book, so we try to put all the new ideas for a new book, a new way for this new project. So and I'm more into how yes, the organization, maybe.
Lot of stuff, organization.
Yes. And Sammy is more into connecting with the artist invited, or yes, the artistic direction, maybe. Yes.
And this year we have 2 interns to help us. I just showed them.
So they are a big help for the sending the books, because we two of us is not enough, and we are really tired. So it's important for us to make something collective too. We are really into collective action, and we like to have this moment of a kind of residency to work all together and give energy to this moment a bit intense. So it's important for us to be like a band to make this.
I have a question concerning the collective as well to Ale. On page 5 of the comic Julia Barata has done about Musaraña, you're also talking about the panels exchange you have encountered through your function as a publisher, but still actually I do not know how you exactly work, how many people are involved actively in Musaraña, so maybe you can tell us a bit about that.
Yes, well, it's from the beginning. It always has been me, a self-made, a one-man army. But I have a lot of experiences of not a lot, but some experiences of co-editing with another publishing house, or with friends, or with José working as an editor. I was thinking when I was hearing you, nowadays I have with Musaraña 2 ways of working. One is this digital low round 200 that I sell it in the bookstore and in some bookstores and in festivals and that. And now we are doing offset again in 3,000 rand, and that goes into a distributor and goes to all the country, digamos. We have 2 ways of working. And now I have this kids collection, Musarañita, for kids, and I'm working with Julia. This is my co-editor in this collection, that she also works in the bookstore. So it's like a laboratory, and we work together. This kids collection. We look for the illustrators, for the writers, and we try to build these books from the beginning, you know, not receiving propositions, but building the book. So now I'm working a lot with Julia in these kids. She's working more as an editor, and I do like editing and all the technique part, you know, working with the prints and papers, decisions, and design and all that. And we also work with freelance graphic designers. It's always like we don't have a play. It's the bookstore, you know. We don't have days to work with the books, or we are not organized. You know, it's we do things in the middle of the bookstore, and we make books not in a very formal way, you know. But yes, I'm working with Julia, and the adults books I work alone, and then with other. Now we had this experience of doing the new book of Power Paola. She's a Latin American comic artist, very well known here in Latin America. We co-edited 5 publishing houses of 5 countries, you know, and we work all together with the decisions and that. I really enjoy these experiences of co-working. And then when it's not that possibility, I go alone.
It's unfortunately, well, Conrad hasn't joined in. I guess that he got the time wrong because of the time difference. But this would have been a topic you could have exchanged about, because Fanta has a shop as well. And I hope there will be another occasion to talk about that. And in the next talk, well, where you won't be part of it, but there will be Johanna from Colorama as well, who has a shop as well, and Marie-France will represent Edition Moderne. We have a shop as well now. So yeah, I see that we have interests in common, or strategies in common.
Yeah, that's right.
All of you were talking already about radicality or your profile. And well, I don't want this part of conversation to be sad. We talk about in Fantagraphics comic contribution by Vansgiver on page 4. Somebody talks about unmarketable comics, but which will be anyhow published, but by Fantagraphics in that case. And in Lagon's contribution on page 3, there's also a panel talking about radicality, where people throw color balls on your van. No, so let's talk a bit about that. So what are you? Well, everybody, what are you actually searching for? Why do you publish? What's your aim?
I'm not the first. See, I'm not the first to speak. I'm looking for always new artists, new form of comics. People they're looking for new way of doing comics, and also new really fresh stuff. We are really interesting to the student, for example, and also we are really interested by in raw art, in graphic designer who make comics, in old stuff. Also, we, for example, in the last issue, we publish Adrian Cohenen, a guys from
Iceland.
Yes, from
Iceland.
16th century, from the Netherlands.
Netherlands. Okay, sorry.
Then it's then for us it's always interesting to mix things. Really fresh artists, new artists, really and new one, and also we also are really fidel. I don't know what to say.
We like to keep
some artists for each issue. I don't know if I answer right to the question, but that's it.
Yeah, I think so. Jose, yes.
I have a question. Yes, I wanted to ask the Lagoon team. When you started this a couple of years ago, I think you've been on the run for what, 8 years? You said before.
Around.
When
yes.
When you started back then, why did you think doing something like this it was necessary, both for you and for the French comic scene or the international comic scene?
I remember the first time we think about this. It was not we want to change the comics world, but we just meet Alexis and Bettina, and they just stop an anthology they used to do at school, in an art school, and we were like, we need to do something collective. And that's this meeting at the big festival of Angoulême, Comics Festival in France. And this meeting was, we didn't know each other, and we didn't know each other, and we just knew the work we had, and we were maybe 1 week after a meeting, Sammy and Alexis exchange emails and says, why we don't do a new magazine for comics, because we love so many artists. We have the not the same but quite the same taste. We have same.
Yes, we have some interest for artists, and we say
we want
we are super autonomous because they can print all the pages and Séverine can print all the cover. Then we don't need anybody to make the project.
to make our really
Dreamy books.
dreaming books. That's what at first that was this book should be our dreamy books. Yes.
Okay.
So it was not we look for something that will help the world of comics, but it was more for us. Yes.
Not to really for the readers, not for us, for the readers.
I would like to play the ball in the field of Ole or David. Why is what you are doing interesting for you and maybe for others? I guess that's your motivation.
Yeah, I'm really into kids comics now. I'm really in love with this collection. I don't know. I had a daughter 3 years ago, and the collection was born at the same time. I love comics since I was a little kid, and I think I really think it's important. And Argentina has a huge tradition in comics, but not in the new languages, not so much. And I think it's really important to give kids fresh queer love to nature and with fresh topics of fresh ways of seeing the world, you know, to give them new comics, you know. So it's amazing. We've done really beautiful books that have this language inside, you know. That two topics, you know, very queer and very love to the animals and the plants and the earth and what is more important for us is we want to make comics that kids really love to read, not just for parents that say, "Oh, this is super cool," because we want funny and adventure, and we have these big models, you know, like Asterix or whatever, or some of the Belgian, French Belgian school. But I'm really into it, and I really think it's important, you know, because we see that kids like them and share it, and we are working into entering comics in schools. I think comics should be in schools a lot. We're working on that too. So I think this, for the new generation, it's important to give them new tools or to share what we were learning. And then for the first time, I think I feel it's important the part we are doing it in the system, you know.
I have just a quick comment on that, because we were talking about Musaraña, who which publishes, well, it's part of your editing house, it publishes comics for children. And I have been to Argentina recently, and Julia gave me Lucy, and my kid is 3.5 as well. And well, she loves it, and she was super afraid about it when we finished reading it. Well, she read it by herself, but when we read it to her, she was super afraid after. And well, for me, that's exactly what books are all about. Somehow they should leave feeling, can be fear as well, can be disgust, can be fun, but if something stays, it means they had an impact. Just wanted to say that because it's nice. I just got that book physically, and you chose it in the catalog, so it will be presented in the magazine. David, can you say why are you and the Strapazin crew doing what you do? Why is this interesting for you and others?
Yes, in my mind, Strapazin is like a platform, and Strapazin is looking forward. We have practically are publishing cartoonists who never published in German for the international part, and German artists, German cartoonists should publish in Strapazin new work first publishing. And if you compare to classical comic magazines, they have always the same authors and same cartoonists like the common magazine. And the Strapazin is completely different. There are some artists who are coming back, but who are in Strapazin several times. But the most issues are showing new artists. And like that, I think we published over 1,000 different artists in 30, more than 30 years. 1984 was found. It's 37 years. Okay, a lot of different artists, and it's, I think, what my motivation is curiosity. I think at this time in the 80s, comics were completely unknown in the German language. And at this time, it was a mission for me to show what, especially in the French part, in the French language, what kind of comics are publishing. And today, I'm still thinking that comics is bright, and you can do a lot of new stuff, and you have still a lot of different possibilities to express yourself in comics. And I think this is still important, and it's a kind of liberty in comics too, because you only need a pencil and a sheet of paper, basically, and it's a very democratic medium, and that's my motivation, and also the collective. So I keep in touch with a lot of people in Strapazin. That's very important for me.
And may I ask you, yeah, Jose?
I wanted to ask Debbie a question, if possible. It's okay. Since Strapazin has been running for, I think, more than 35 years, as you just said, you were always organized like this, like the rotating editors system. It's been always like that.
Yes, it was more or less always like that. It's I think that's also the why it still exists, that it's coming out regularly. Then we had the kind of advertisement in Strapazin. We are printing advertisement they are done by cartoonists, and you can get some stickers after. Just a second. I have pain in my back, sorry. So these are advertising, and then we print it on sticker paper.
Actually, I have some stickers here. We have done with Editora.
Moderna has one. Congratulations. I have my own visit card. And this was also a success for Strapazin at the beginning. We could paste Strapazin with the advertisement, and this was very important. And I think if if you come out regularly for us 4 times each year, and if you are, if the responsibility is covered by a lot of people, in this case, a collective, this is very important. And today, Strapazin is a platform and can show a lot of different artists and different views, how you can draw comics, how you can publish comics. Is it that, Julia?
I wanted to ask Jean, thank you very much. I wanted to ask Jean-Philippe if you have something to add. Well, I don't know you personally. Well, now I do. Before I didn't. But I mean, you're a graphic designer, so you might have a bit another perspective on what you are doing at Lagon, but or on comics in general. Well, I'm a graphic designer as well, and comics usually travel through a printed and designed object. So maybe you can tell us a bit about your interests and your motivation in publishing comics.
Yeah, I can find an interest in making graphic design for comics, because I think that this field was not so much explored by a graphic designer. Of course, they are all comics are made also with the help of graphic designers, but sometimes it's mostly authors who would design their books. They design the cover, and I saw and for a long time the graphic design was not so the typography or the thinking of the object, the papers was not so important in the comics compared to the drawings. And so I think there is something to do with this. And I mostly do books for artists or for galleries, and so I can try to bring this culture in the field of comics. And that's what I also saw in Edition Moderne. You now can, and a lot of new and a lot of publishing house are now making more importance on the graphic design, I think. Sorry, my English is really bad. I'm a bit tired and sick, but you know what I mean?
Just,
it's completely understandable, no problem.
Yeah.
Get well soon.
I just want to add that that's also very important for Strapazin, because the graphic design is changing for each issue. We don't have always the same typography. Maybe Julia can say about this, but there are different people, almost normally 4 or 5, who are doing the graphic design of Strapazin. So it's every issue has another design, except the title.
Team Lagon, how often do you publish? How many which issue have you now finished?
6. We have 6.
Okay.
Plus a special issue that we made with Breakdown Press in a festival of Angoulême. Yes.
Okay. So just to give a comparison, I think that Strapazin is somehow much more a zine still than what you are doing, because I mean, in the beginning, Séverine, you also said it's almost a book. Well, for me, what I have seen so far online, it seems like a book. And I think that Strapazin, now we are heading to number 150. That's the one you're going to be into. So I think also knowing that there were already 149 issues, and hopefully there will be some more, gives you somehow also a lot of freedom to experiment. I don't know, well, or I would, for me, when I designed issues or I was the redaction of an issue, this was also an invitation to explore things which might maybe not work. And I think it's just a different approach. It isn't a judging of quality or something, but I feel like we have, well, in terms of drawings, in terms of graphic design and of a redactional approach, we have explored things in Strapazin we already knew, well, we're kind of on the edge and it might not work. Or we're doing, I don't know, typesetting something very small or very big, or actually too big, too small. But you felt like you can, because it's this magazine which is coming out regularly, and this also still has a bit this punk aura. So it, well, for me, and I think for many others, it has really been a field of experimenting. And I see as well that you're experimenting at Lagon and like pushing the envelope of what comic can be or comic publishing can be. But I mean, you're really doing an object in each case. Well, or this is how I see it. And another.
Yes, there are a few failures in Lagon. we sometimes we try stuff that doesn't work, but we realize when we realize it's too late. So, but once we had this gouffre, the one named gouffre, which was a bit fat, a bit a big one, and we wanted to make the folie, comment dit la revue? We want to
the bounded.
The bounded, we decide to make by ourselves, but finally it was not a good idea because the page is
it's really fragile.
It's really fragile. That's right. That you say that as we do everything by ourselves, we can experiment, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes wrong, but that's a freedom to be able to do this. Yes.
And also it's really exciting to change to find a new way to make a book. Each issue. At the beginning, when we decided to make a magazine with Alexia and Bettina and Séverine, we decide we don't know if we want to make more than one. We are really enjoying them, but we say, okay, if we make another one, it will be different, not the same object, not the same name, and that's the kind of ADN of DNA of Lagon. We change each issue. We think about a new.
Yes, because the first one was supposed to be the only one. That's why we decide that each one would be maybe the last one, and that's why we change each time. We try to change. Finally, it's not so different, but. Yeah, it's not a real collection with the same code and everything.
So we are talking also about failures. So actually you completely failed by just doing one.
Yes, that's right.
But we try to maintain balance between industrial and craft also. That's really important for us.
Ale, now we're talking about the secrets somehow also. Are there things you have experimented which completely failed or not?
Yeah. I think it's a good definition, the one you made, because yes, I think we are in a branch of visual arts that the mistake or the error, the failure, it's into the branch of the art we are doing. I don't know. I think yes, comics has this, as David said, this democratic way of everybody can do it. You don't need money or a platform, and I think yes, the error is a big part of it, and that's one of the most beautiful things I believe we have in this branch of art. And yes, I made a lot of huge mistakes, technique mistakes, and also of thinking I will sell a lot of this one, and I sold. I printed 1,000. I sold 100. But as you said, I'm still doing it, and I'm still loving it. And yes, I like to hug Taylor, you know, because and that's super cool, because if you, I don't know, if you make, I don't know, cinema and you have this big failure, maybe it's hard to reunite yourself to do more. But comics are, I don't know, more organic, more, I don't know, I like this loving the failure, you know.
Mhm. I like the example you made with you made 1,000 of a books and you sold 100. Well, well, we have unfortunately similar experiences, have had similar experiences at Editora Moderna as well. I think that's part of the job, but it's also part of how we are very much fan of what we actually publish, and so our expectations are very high because we love those books so dearly. So this brings me, well, maybe almost to the final round, final topic, the actual invitation to this issue, because Jose and me, we consider like the comic scene also like a big family where we feel a lot of solidarity. People who are actually publishing comics are often the first people buying comics. So maybe we can exchange a bit more about that. Where do you actually get in contact with this family, or do you agree? Maybe you don't. Or what is precious to you, or what have you experienced well, beautifully, or maybe even with people which are also involved in that issue, you know, who is part of it. Maybe we can share some anecdotes about that.
You can begin.
We don't want to begin.
We had a, with Jose, we had a pretty cool experience of getting to know the big comic, independent comic family, because we made an anthology of Latin American new language comics. It was called El Volcán, the volcano. And we made a really effort investigation on what's going on with comics nowadays in Latin America, and these new language, new forms of comics. So we had a really cool panorama of Latin America, and it was a beautiful book that we co-published with another publishing house. It was, I'm sorry, it was this one, and then it was published in, also it was published in Colombia, and then we made an exhibition, and the exhibition was invited in many festivals from here, Lima, Sao Paulo, in Helsinki, in Lucerne with Fumeto. That was amazing for me and for us, I think, and we really get to know a big scene of independent European and Latin American publishing houses, and it's amazing because we are all living really similar experiences, and it's as you said, Julia, it's based on what we really love, what we publish, and nobody's here trying to publish the big hits to be rich. If it happens, it's cool, you know, because you can do more comics. But it's a really passionate scene, and with very similar experiences all over we've been, you know. And I'm trying to get a little money because I know this kid is making these super strange, freaky comics. I want to, you know, this kind of projects and plans super super crazy that we if Sammy tells me I knew this kid, I want to make a scene, I will say, cool man, I want to see it and we can just. So I think there is it's a really big family because we are very similar freaks, I think, and I really like it.
That's
I would like to add something. It's possible. Ali and me have been colleagues and friends for many years now. We have worked together several times. And he said something to me a couple of years ago while we were making the El Volcán tour. I think we were in Helsinki. I still remember that. And he said something that's been with me ever since then. And I think it's really important. And it's about the comics family. And he said, in the independent comics scene, it's really easy to be friends of the people you admire. And I think that's a good way of putting what he just said. We all have the same problems, and we are somehow the same kind of freaks, you know, like graphic freaks or I don't know, printed matter freaks or whatever. And we are all dealing with the same issues, you know, like we have been discussing for 1 hour now, like shipping cost or printing cost or approaching new audiences or discussing new forms or new ways of approaching the same things, etc. You know, and that really stuck with me ever since then. I think it's the independent comics family, whatever that is. It's a really close one because you can meet any other person doing the same in any part of the world, and that person is having the same problems you're having. You know, maybe the contexts are a little bit different, but we are always dealing with the same, and that really gives a quick sense of empathy. You know.
You're right.
I agree as well. David, what would you say about the comic fam?
Yes, I think, yeah, it's the independent comics or small press comics all over the world, and we have the same interest. I'm feeling that now. All the years I was publishing comics, and the festivals were very important, and you had a lot of festivals. Angoulême, we talked about Angoulême, or in Germany it's Erlangen, and after the COVID pandemic last year, we met each other again in Erlangen, and was very happy about that. But my motivation, and José said it too, and Ale también. I'm a fan. I'm just a fan. I'm not a cartoonist. I was always a fan, and it seems a little bit snob, but I never cared about the readers. I was always just publishing what I like, and if somebody other likes it, it's okay, and nobody likes it, it's also okay. And that's my basic motivation. And comics is for that was for me very a good place to do it, because it's still small. If you compare to music, we are in the independent or small press comic scene all over the world. It's actually still very small, not a lot of people. And so you can get access, like José said, the access to the people is very easy and very friendly. You don't have stars. And yeah, it feels like family. I'm according with that.
Thanks.
And Jean-Philippe, what would you say about that?
Yeah, and with Sammy and Séverine, I think we can say that we've met a lot of friends in this with this project, and also we can maintain links with different generation also, because we can meet people who have more experience than us, and also really young people who can still appreciate our work. So it's really important, and also worldwidely, because it's incredible that with this kind of project, as you say, Hale, you are just making your books, and then you are invited we were invited in Japan to make a tour of exhibitions with Lagon. So it's incredible to make your books with your problems and your difficulties to make it happen. And then you receive an email from somebody from the other part of the world who invites you to make things, and it's incredible. So that's, yeah, and we met most of our friends are we met in fairs or things like this. So it's yeah, books makes friends, you know.
Yes, exactly. When I was young, I don't imagine that I was that now my lot of friends of us are from other parts in the world. We are super good friend Taiwanese, super good friend American or German, and I think when we discuss, we understand each other. As you say. We can speak about post office for 1 hour and it's not boring. Then, I think it's also there is no money inside the book, inside the independent comics or most of the books. Then it's not a question of big money and capitalism, and it's more about art, I think. Séverine? I don't know.
No, and we can, I think there is a place to create stuff, because during the pandemic, we had no fair anymore, and we were really sad because we miss our friends all over the world, or even in France, our friend from publishing. So we decided to make a tour as a band, as a musician, and we decided to phone to our friends all over France, a bit in Switzerland and Belgium, and we decided to make a tour and to invent, I don't know how to say, but a new way to show books and to sell books. So we had around 15 places where we stop with the car and we show the books, and we continue to do what we used to do before the pandemic. So there is this kind of freedom with this independent publishing that make us happy, and yes.
I have a question relying to the actual magazine. I mean, the three positions of you now have well, commissioned and almost finished or finished a comic about your practice. So have you something to say about how this process was, or what's your relation to the actual result? It's also, I mean, it's your work through the perspective of one of your authors. So maybe you had some discussions or there were some surprises.
I asked Nicola Mahler, who is an Austrian cartoonist from Vienna, is well known actually, but he was starting in Strapazin 20 years ago or something. And yes, he's a funny cartoonist. So we were talking about the time we met and how we refused. Strapazin refused his first works. He sent us a lot of stuff, and we never want to publish it. Finally, we are according to publishing, and he got even a cover of Strapazin. And yes, this is was really funny to talk with him about that. We had those other point of views, but I think he make a very funny story about how we get into Strapazin.
And is this something you can precise? How your point of views were different or not?
Yes, it's the point of view of the cartoonist, and on the other side of the editor. And the cartoonist is sure that his comics has to be published, and the editor in this case don't. So these are the different point of views, and this is expressed in the comics.
And Ale, how was well, you're still working on it, but how was the exchange with Julia, and how was it for you to actually read that piece about you and your work?
Yeah, well, we already finished. But it was really cool because Julia is she's Portuguese. She lives here, and we grew up together in this comics world, and she's a comic friend, and now a really big, huge, close friend of mine. So I chose her because I love her as an artist, and she has a really inner view, a really inside view of what we've done. And she's making this. She always makes these comics where she is on them. She's the one who leads the story, and she made me like some kind of interview. We were drinking wine and talking about it, and talking about this commission, and talking about I was like saying, I don't know what to say. There's people that with a lot of more of story and experience than me. It's weird to talk about me and what I've done. But then I realized that in these 10 years there's a funny and a long and a nice story to tell. And maybe I really like what we've done, and sometimes it's not that easy to sit and to see what you've done in the late years, and it was pretty cool, and I think it's also funny and to read. That's important for me. And yesterday we were talking with Julia. I said we should print some scenes of this 6-page comic to give friends, because it's maybe you know one part of the story, but it's cool to see the other part, and we should give it to the authors of the house and the friends. So I think the result is cool, and I think you had a really good idea with this commission. But when I heard it, I said, "Oh, this is not hard to. This is hard to make it work, but it worked." I think.
It's beautiful what you said. Sometimes it's difficult or hard to see what you have actually done, and I would try to finish the sentence. And now it has been seen through the eyes, through the drawings, through the storytelling of one of your authors, or seen and told. So that's super beautiful. Many thanks for joining in. for that issue and also for the talk, for taking the time. And I hope we meet again in real life. Good
Okay.
luck.
Thank you
See
very
you.
much.
Thank
you for the match.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you
Very
for
nice,
joining
really
us.
nice
Nice to meet
meet
you.
you.